Today's tale is from Quora user Icon Boys, who responded when I asked the question, does anyone have any good ghost stories? He qualified their account with the assurance that it is not fake, and did indeed take place in real life. However, as of writing this, the user did not specify what country or year this occurred, but it appears to have unfolded when Icon was in Standard 8 and attending a government school. On one particular day, as Icon was returning home from school, a journey of about 3.5 miles, he spotted a house which had been abandoned for over 30 years. He knew this to be true because the house had actually belonged to his great-grandfather, so he was no stranger to this creepy abode or its history. The story of his great-grandfather's death had been told to Icon many times. The ancient relative had passed away in his sleep. As a Quora user, Icon bears the credential of expert in paranormality and supernatural existence. And true to his title, he recounted how in many cultures it is believed that when a person passes away in their sleep, they will inevitably become a ghost. Perhaps because the event of death passes by unnoticed while they're asleep, so the spirit just gets up and keeps going about its normal routine. Who can tell? But up until that point in his young life, Icon had not been particularly interested in such nonsense, referring to them as myths, but on that day, for some reason, the compulsion came over him to go into the house for the purpose of proving wrong his friends who did believe in such things as ghosts. He was not alone when he doubled down on his personal quest to debunk this old haunt, but took 2 friends with him at around 7 p.m. Being winter, it was already dark. His friends shivered either from cold or fright and suggested they turn back. But Icon would not relent and marched his determined self through the house, finding nothing there and declaring it to his friends. The interesting thing about that night, and a reflection of the relaxed attitudes of parents in the decade of this occurrence, is that Icon's parents were away that evening attending a marriage ceremony, and considering that they would be home late, he decided to spend the night there, and in his words, "This is where the real scary things begin." His 2 friends were not game enough to pass the night away in this apparently empty house. Even less were they willing to suffer their parents' anger were they to participate in such a reckless adventure. So they left Icon to face whatever that night might bring, alone. Finding the bed, which was still there upon which his great-grandfather had passed away, Icon removed a blanket from his bag. It would seem a certain amount of premeditation had gone into this macabre endeavor. Satisfied that he'd brushed enough dust from the bed, he lay down and went to sleep. I have to admit this kind of activity, for me at least, blurs the lines between bravery and foolishness. But Icon's cast iron constitution actually allowed him the ability to sleep. That is, until a mysterious force pushed him out of the bed. Undeterred, he lay down once again on the bed, this time covering his face with the blanket, remaining awake for some time, convincing himself that all was well. He opened the blanket, the darkness sharpening his ears to the sound of strange footsteps coming from around the house and the kitchen. He was terrified. Getting out of bed, he packed his things and prepared himself for his quick getaway, probably around 10 p.m. And as he left, whether quickly or gingerly he did not say, but as he turned to look back at the bed he was leaving behind, there in the bed was the eerie figure of an old man, asleep. Needless to say, his jaw dropped. Only moments before, there had been no one else lying in that bed except for Icon. This terrifying image was then accompanied by a pair of strange voices taunting him with the statement, "You cannot escape." But the threat seems to have had even less substance than the disembodied origin, because Icon got out of that house as fast as he could, making it home to the safety of his own unhaunted bed, where he quickly fell asleep to dream of an old man with cracked skin coming toward him and shouting strangely. He got up to relieve his thirst with a glass of water and went back to an otherwise uneventful night of sleep. The next day he awoke ill with a high fever. His worried mother questioned him about the previous day's activities, and he told her everything. A confession met with both anger and a strange appreciation for his bravery. The fever, however, lasted a week, before leaving him a new believer that ghosts really do exist. But what about you? Can you relate to this bizarre experience? Can you honestly say that you were once so brave that you willingly spent a night, or at least part of a night, in a place where wisdom might fear to tread? Please share your tale with me on tellyourtalehere@gmail.com. And until next time, never lay down alive in a dead man's bed.